Okay, so I've talked about dynamic pricing being the new norm, and if you're not pricing dynamically, you're being left behind. But as you can see on the screen, there actually is still room for a static strategy, and let me explain where that could potentially fit in. We use a term often with Inside Hotel Rescue around building base. It's about getting some early bookings into your system to give you, I guess, more time to make decisions about what you might do with pricing down the track. And it's wise to not put all your eggs into one basket, but that basket being the dynamic pricing market. So dynamic pricing is really inside those lead times, inside that last week, 2 weeks, even up to a month perhaps. That's when the dynamic pricing comes into play. Prior to that, there is some space. Outside of that 30-day booking window, there is some opportunity to look at static business. And when I say static, it potentially still can be fluctuating, but it's about, you might just be putting a certain rate out there or doing a certain action at a certain price to attract this base business. And I've got some graphs on the next slide that I'll run you through shortly, but typically base business is at a standard, more of a discounted price, but it has a longer lead time. It's for somebody who wants to book in 6 months' time, a group or a conference, or even well-organised leisure travellers and that are planning ahead, that are looking for a good deal and recognise the fact that they'll get rewarded by being organised and planning ahead. The basic principle is that the earlier you can get business on the books, the better position you are in to yield your property later. And think about it like this. Wouldn't it be nice to know that if in 3 months' time, if you already had 80% occupancy loaded in right across the whole month, and you only had those last 20% of rooms to sell with 3 months to go, and then you knew that there's also a heap of activity happening in the town that particular month, that sort of intel would actually give you the confidence to then go, you know what, I'm going to hold on my price. I'm going to put my rack rate into the market. I know the demand's there. I've got base. I know I'm going to fill those last 20% of my rooms. So you can hold. You don't need to panic and drop rate because you're just not sure it's going to come. That's yielding. Yielding 101. Build the base and then sell the last few rooms at a premium. Airlines have been doing it for years. Hotels certainly have been doing it for some time now, but it's the airline industry that led the charge in this dynamic yielding approach. So here's just an example. So when I'm talking about building base, typically what you want to do is you're going to be trying to find some holes in your future bookings or some areas where you know there's going to be low demand. Now here's an example where we've broken it down to a day of week scenario. So you could easily just as easily do this on a weekly or a monthly sort of view. But in this particular example, this hotel knows that they've got fluctuations in their day-to-day occupancy. So in this example here, they know that they're quieter on a Friday night than they are on a Saturday night. So how do they try and fill that lower point and put some up there? It's all about trying to find pieces of business or allowing demand to flow in to a point at a certain price. So there's 2 ways you can go about building base. It's actually finding chunks of business to fill gaps, conference, group, that sort of thing, or turning on your so-called discounting channels or offers that actually turn on some demand. That you know there's certain levels that if you put your rates down here with a breakfast included or whatever it'll be, and you're rewarding those early bookers, it'll start to turn on some demand. But then you've got to be watching it to go, I've filled enough base now. I've got enough because I know the demand that'll come for that busier day or week or month, that busier period, it's going to come. So I've got enough base now and that'll push me over the top. And you just need to visualize that if you were typically going to sit at 80% on a given day, week or month, or a period of time, whatever you want to, how we want to view it. And maybe a day is the easiest way to do it. And you picture a bar graph just like it's on the screen. If you typically are pretty confident you're going to go to 80%. So by the time you get to day of arrival, you'll do 80%. Wouldn't it be good to be able to chuck 20 or even 30% of base business in there now, 3 months out, 6 months out, whatever, however far out you are, chuck some base in there now, and you know that then that 80% that's yet to come is going to push you through the roof and set you over the 100% mark, which is always the goal. Let's get to 100%. That changes everything, because then if you get the base in, and then as the other 80%'s coming at you and you're getting closer and closer to day of arrival and the shorter lead times, those last 10 rooms, those last 20 rooms, last 5 rooms, whatever it be, you can actually be really confident in the pricing that you're putting in the market, that you know it's going to sell because you know the demand's going to be there. So that's the big value of building base, and that's where there's still a little bit of room for some static pricing and some discounted basic pricing to be out in the marketplace at times.